So coming up next, we've got two rising stars, I think, two people who are studying currently at Sunderland University, Dominic and Kimberley Hendry. I've known Kimberley for some time, a few years now, through a Dynamo event, and Dominic is very new to me. So let's see what they have to say in terms of what it's like to be studying cybersecurity at Sunderland University. Hello, Dominic. How are you?
Yeah, I'm all right. How are you? Thanks for having us on this afternoon.
And hi, Kimberley.
Hi, Phil. You okay?
Yes, good, thanks. Good, thanks. Right, over to you both.
Well, I think I'll introduce myself first. So my name's Dominic Button. I'm a full-time PhD researcher and academic tutor in cybersecurity at the University of Sunderland. And this afternoon, I'm joined by the fantastic and amazing Kimberley Hendry, which I'll pass you on to now to introduce herself to.
Hello, thanks, Dominic. So I'm going to talk about my experience of retraining in cybersecurity. So the obligatory, who am I? My name's Kimberley Hendry, and for years I worked in education, sort of online courses, teaching, assessing, and then I took part in the Tech Mums initiative, sort of to teach women and mums more tech skills, sort of to improve sort of family security, really, teaching about safe social media use for uni children, with how there's a new app out pretty much every week. So sort of teaching women how to make sure the kids are using technology in a safe way. But also part of that, we did some coding, so we did some Python, we did a bit of web development, and also we got to go to Dynamo as well, so I'll talk about that in a second. So I'm currently studying the Masters in Cybersecurity, and just started some work experience in threat intelligence, so doing some research in that. So like someone mentioned before, the Stuxnet attack, I think on Vice TV or Vice.com, there's a good show called Cyber War, and that does a lot about the threat landscape. That's a good thing to watch. And I've also I helped co-found the Northeast Ladies Hacking Society. So that's a Northeast chapter of the very successful Ladies of London Hacking Society, which is aimed at teaching women technical skills, so offensive and defensive cybersecurity skills. So like I said, I did the Tech Mums course, and part of it we got to go to the tech conference over at Sunderland, the Dynamo Tech Conference, and I'd already been quite aware of cybersecurity issues and things in the news, and like my mum had suffered some banking fraud where luckily she didn't actually lose any money, but it really shook her up. So I became very aware of these kind of issues. And then part of the conference, there was like a live hacking demo from some students that was just amazing to see. It was simultaneously really terrifying, but also quite exciting to watch. And one of the demos was using Shodan to scan IoT devices and look for insecure devices that still had like default credentials. And also then another student did a demo of like behind the scenes of a phishing campaign and showed how they could spoof a website to again steal people's login details. So yeah, it was fascinating. So from then I started to start doing some research into the industry generally. So pretty much just said to all my friends and colleagues, anyone know anyone who works in cybersecurity? What is it? This is so interesting. And then did a few online courses. The Institute for Coding, yeah, they do quite a few good coding ones and a few security ones as well. Future Learn do a great introduction to cybersecurity, which cover things like cryptography and malware, network security, and I find that so helpful. So yeah, some other websites like Udemy, Cybery as well is a good one. Attend lots of webinars on the subject just to find out what was going on, listen to podcasts, and then really utilize LinkedIn. There's lots of fascinating people on there sharing sort of ideas and articles and events through LinkedIn. That's how I heard about the Hacking Society, so that got me involved in that, and also got me a scholarship for a boot camp for a cybersecurity bootcamp as well. So that has been really helpful. So after doing all this research, I decided to apply for a master's. So I'd spoken to Alistair Irons at the Dynamo conference, and he did a very passionate talk about the importance of diversity in tech and making the room more diverse and diversifying the workforce. So I made my application and yes, got into the Masters in Cybersecurity. There were different options, but I chose the 1-year full-time course, and so it was a full 12 months. And I liked the fact that the lessons were condensed into 2 days. So it meant I could actually just work just part-time while studying full-time, because a lot of other universities that I'd looked at, different courses, they were quite all spread around, sort of 2-hour lesson here, then a few hours later an hour lesson, or on different days. So this seemed to fit in really well with work and childcare. And yeah, I like the mixture of taught and practical lessons as well. I showed the course to a few different people in the industry, and they all said, yeah, this is a good course to do. So this screen, yeah, is sort of covering the basic modules that we did. So you can see it's quite generalist and covered different aspects of the industry. The fundamentals one had lots of like fundamental concepts, but also network security, using lots of Cisco kit. And so I didn't really have much experience of networks before, so that really, really stretched my brain, especially having a lesson of network security, and then the next one being looking at data analysis, so using R to analyze data sets. It was quite an experience, but it was amazing. Like, as an adult learner, I felt very, very lucky to be there, and the pleasure of learning. So they used problem-based learning, which was great, and lots of practical things. So we were given an insecure network and asked to configure it or redesign it in a safe way. Like I said, given large data sets and given a business problem and told to analyse it. The breaches, we've had to gather our own evidence using virtual machines, Kali Linux, or like for social engineering, I focused on smishing and smishing attacks because that's something I was quite interested in. Part of being a student as well, which I didn't realise until I'd gone back. I'd previously studied politics, or international politics, quite a few years ago at Northumbria. I didn't realise how much access other things as well. So things like our fundamentals course, you got access to the Cisco CCNA security certificate. So all the course materials from it, and the practical side of our fundamentals assignment can be put towards your CCNA certificate if you so wish to pursue that. And then things like, lots of events going on, the Digital Union and Institute for Coding Bootcamp, that was something that was available to students, and I took part in that, where we got to work with developers and go around different businesses around the Northeast to get some experience. And I've just started this Code First Girls web development course, which they do paid for courses to get more girls into coding and tech. But if you're a student, you can actually access them for free. And yes, I'm just nearing completion of my dissertation. So lots of research, surveys and interviews. I've ended up going a slightly different route, and designing personas, so looking at women's experiences of working in the industry. And I thought I'd mention about the disruption. So we started in September, and obviously everything all happened earlier in the year. I started last September, but already all the course materials were online. So that, I mean, I'm speaking as a student, it felt quite frictionless as a student. I don't know what the experience of the lecturers were to bring everything online, but all of our course materials are already always online, and then they quickly moved to having Teams meetings for our classes or for any group work or individual Skype calls. And we were very much encouraged to ask for help, and help was given. Things like when I had problems with my virtual machine from home, like student lecturers offered to record videos to help explain things, and they recorded themselves going through the course materials, and then they were online to answer questions. They were very, very helpful. So yes, I'd say generally it has been a wonderful experience. One of the best years of my life has been studying this past year. The fact it's a year-long course as well, I feel has been good. So you get time to digest all the information, and it's very supportive. You can just ask away any questions you want. And yeah, a very diverse group in our course. Quite a few computer science graduates, but also quite a few police or people like data scientists, or people just actually retraining from different industries. So yeah, like it's been mentioned earlier, it's such a fast-paced industry that almost gives people coming into it like a more accessible route in a way. So like Freya was saying about 5G and extended reality, and also things like cloud security, they're all quite new. So people who've worked in the industry for ages, they also need to learn about that. So that's a way for people to access it. I mentioned diversity. There's lots of initiatives and groups to try and improve diversity in the industry, because I think people are realising it's important to business to not have everyone the same in your business. So that's another way to access it. And also the debate around certificates and qualifications at the moment, about which certificate's worth what in security. I think at the end of the day, a master's is a very recognisable, solid qualification to have. Like a master's from a UK university, there's no comparing that to some online certificate of anything like that. So I think that makes it very worthwhile. So yes, so thank you very much for your time. There's all my details if anyone wants to connect or chat. And I think you're going to take over next, Dom?
Yeah, sure. Thanks for sharing your experience. I would say it's totally different from my own, and I think people will say that in a minute. I'm sort of what you could potentially call a perpetual student. But
cool.
So,
I'll stop sharing.
No worries.
And you come in. Yeah.
Yeah. Can you say that all right or not?
It's just been start. There we go. Yes.
Yeah, fantastic. I'll full screen that. If I can, it's taken a while. There we go. Is it full screen now?
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Fantastic. Right. So we'll start off with the importance of cybersecurity. You're probably sick of hearing about the importance of cybersecurity. I'm surmising quite a lot of you work in the cybersecurity field, so you'll already know about the importance. But for those who are attending this conference today who are potentially interested in joining the cybersecurity field and simply just don't really know that much about it, it's very nice to look at the figures to emphasize the importance of cybersecurity. So 59% of the global population are now collected online. You'd expect that to be higher, but it isn't. Vital services are moving online as well. So you have such things as the NHS, you've got obviously the financial sectors online, and generally with the increase of people online and those vital services, it increases the value of cyberspace. So you're generally going to have more cyber attacks. But what if those cyber attacks we've mentioned before previously in another speaker about nation state attacks, what if they were to hit a vital service such as the NHS and that was to go down? It could be catastrophic for a nation. Funnily enough, to coincide with the rising of people online, you would typically think cybersecurity jobs would be rising as well. That's true, but we don't have the people to fill those jobs. It was noted that just round about 50% of UK businesses note that there was a skills gap, and that's really worrying, the fact that businesses in the UK simply don't have the staff to fill those cybersecurity job roles. So what are those job roles? Out of 393,000 job postings over the last 3 years, these are the 4 typical roles that were requested. So that's security engineer, analyst, manager, and consultant. Now, this is massively important if you're looking to go into cybersecurity and get a job role in this. It's important that you know what role you want to study for. So when you go to university, or when you're looking at courses online, or when you're simply looking at videos and learning how to program, you know what skills you really need to develop. So inside of these 4 job roles, what skills do you really need? Now, this pretty picture is outlining all the skills that you will typically need to fill one of those job roles. And you can see they branch from the very highly technical cryptographic, highly mathematical, to the soft skills such as writing, which many people typically won't associate with cybersecurity. So what does this really mean? You've noticed today, if you've been on the panel since around 2 all the way to now, that many people have come from different sectors into the cybersecurity sector. That's fantastic, because you're bringing different skills from your previous job role, the previous experiences into cybersecurity. And this aids with your problem solving, your leadership skills. You can pick up those technical skills along the way. The soft skills are very, very hard to pick up. So I've got a little question here. Now you're seeing all of those skills, you've seen the job roles. Who do you think could fill that job role? What do they typically look like? You'd probably be thinking of someone like Spock, who would have all of these technical skills and the soft skills maybe in his back pocket, and he has even more skills out there. In fact, a cybersecurity professional actually looks like you. Yes, I know some of you watching today might be a cybersecurity professional, but those who are simply wanting to get into the field, you might be thinking, well, I can't have those skills. I'm not a cybersecurity professional. In fact, you are a cybersecurity professional, or you can be molded into one. And that's rich coming from someone who's doing a PhD and is an academic tutor. I know that. So I want to give you a bit of an insight into my journey and how I ended up where I am today doing a PhD, top of that academic game. I initially started off in an A-level, doing 3. That was history, classical civilizations, and English literature. Not computer related at all. Unfortunately, I didn't do very well in those, and I was given a lifeline by Sunderland College, which was I can do 2 years of IT, BTEC in 1. Took those, I had no computer knowledge at all, and passed it. Very easy course, really. It was simple stuff like how do you save an Excel spreadsheet, nothing to do with cybersecurity. I still couldn't get into university on those UCAS points, and that was an issue. Luckily, the University of Sunderland and Sunderland College extended me a lifeline, which was a HND in Computer Systems Development. Thought, great, I'll take that and I'll get into some computing job or something, okay? I didn't realize that when you joined the course, you needed programming experience, and you also needed experience in networking and project management, okay? So I came in with literally 0 knowledge, and within 2 years I had to finish a HND, and then for my final top-up year, I had to go to university to get a full bachelor's degree. So I literally had no knowledge. I went to the library, I took out books, I went online and looked at videos on YouTube. I did courses on Udemy. I think Kimberley mentioned Udemy, and Code Academy as well was fantastic for us. I literally just sat and studied and studied and studied. I ended up coming out with the highest in the HND class, and also the highest in my top-up bachelor's degree, in which I came out with the first. I was also showered with awards, so best IEI student and best project student, and also I had a research paper published. So within a space of 2 or 3 years, I managed to go from literally 0 computing knowledge straight up to getting a first class honours degree. So you can see that progression's quite quick, and that's just simply through self-determination and learning. But I brought those skills I had over from my A levels, such as critical writing, oratory skills, into the bachelor's in the computing, and it really pushed us forward. Now, while I was on the bachelor's, I met a fantastic professor known as Alistair Irons, who was so passionate about cybersecurity. I just really needed to get into the field, and I'm really glad I did. Once I got into the field, I had the opportunity to work with some amazing professors, such as Sharon MacDonald, and also work with some amazing people in the Northeast, such as NERSU. In fact, this led into my PhD. So you can see within a span of 4 or 5 years, I've managed to go from literally 0, I wouldn't quite say a hero, but near the top of a PhD. And I'm there and I'm enjoying it. So you can literally go from nothing to quite high up. So what's my research focusing around now? I think this will surprise some people, because when you think of a cybersecurity PhD, you're typically going to be thinking of someone who was highly technical. Actually, I've totally altered that around. I'm looking at the psychological components of cybersecurity. So I'm looking at things called threat intelligence platforms. You might have heard of one called CISP here in the UK. It's free. If you haven't, look it up and join it. It's essentially a platform which allows organizations, security experts to share security information with one another to better defend themselves. Sounds great. The problem is not many people are using that platform. So I'm looking at creating a model which explains what makes people want to share that security information with one another. And inside of that looks at trust, awareness, perceived benefits, and user design. So it's really not technical at all. It doesn't really involve any coding. It's simply looking at psychological components and leveraging that against my cybersecurity knowledge to basically help people share security information to better defend the nation. So where am I at now with my skills compared to the skills I showed you earlier on? This picture isn't as pretty colours, and it's quite small as well. But these are the skills I've gathered over that zero computing knowledge, right up to that PhD security expert knowledge. And you can see, to be honest, quite a lot of them are soft skills. So oratory, which I'm doing today, writing, critical writing is massive if you're looking into research or join the cybersecurity field. But it's always been said before, it's really nice to know how to word those technical situations in a non-technical way to an employer. It's massively important. If you start saying something high technical to a manager and they don't know what you're talking about, you're typically not going to get that funding. So what can you take away from my babbling today? And that's the fact you can start with zero knowledge. You can be anyone from any gender, any ethnicity, anything. You can even be retired and bored and want to get into a new industry, okay? Cybersecurity is for you, and you can pick up those skills and learn it. Please do consider coming and joining the field, especially coming and doing a degree. It's fantastic. The second point is there's a large skills gap. So you're not going to train to something and not get a job at the end of it. You're more than likely going to get a job. Here in the UK, and especially in the Northeast, you are definitely going to get a job. And if you were to go abroad, see America, the wages are tripled and they even want more security experts. And the last point really is that anyone can become a cybersecurity professional. I'm classed as a cybersecurity expert. I probably don't look like one. I probably don't act like one. But according to my knowledge and my skills in academia, that's what I am. So that's pretty much it. There's one more thing I want to say after this to plug about my research, but please feel free to email me or contact me on LinkedIn, it's Dominic Button, about anything I've discussed today, research, anything to do with computing. I love talking. I can talk for England. So yeah, please do contact us. And the last thing is, as part of my research on threat intelligence platforms, I really need to know how people view these platforms. I don't care if you've used them or if you haven't used them. Please feel free to fill that survey out. It's only 10 minutes. It's really quick. I'll pop it in the chat after we've finished here. And that, for me, is everything. So hopefully if there's any questions, I'm more than happy to answer those.
Get it in the group chat, Dom, that link for your survey. It's a good idea.
Yeah.
We're going to circulate the slides and next video anyway, so that's going to go out. But can I just say, wow, two great advocates for both Sunderland University and for cybersecurity. And I think what's been demonstrated today is what a variety of backgrounds you can have. It's all about what you want to do, and stop thinking that it's not for you. This trade is huge opportunities. So thank you very much. Please hang around for the panel towards the end.